Yo, so now the Philadelphia 76ers are down 0-2. You still trusting that process? Oh, it is. It is Thursday, Cinco de Mayo episode of Donno Daily here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. I am Alex Donno with you for the next hour or so. Dude, I've been on a very strict diet for the better part of the last almost 7 months, 6.5 months. I do take cheat days every now and then. Man, today's already been one of those cheat days. I have already consumed a margarita, just one, because I didn't, I don't want to get sloshed or anything. But I've had one drink today for Cinco. I had some nachos and some tacos, and I've basically met my quota of calories for the entire weekend. So I am shot out of a cannon today, my friends. Make sure you do us a favor as we come to you every single weekday, usually 2 o'clock. We're a little bit late yesterday because I was in Fort Lauderdale, had to drive back down to Miami. But usually 2 o'clock, we go live here on Donno Daily. Even though I've been doing this show since July, every now and then somebody new stumbles across it. Maybe somebody who listened to me back in the day on AM radio. I still do a little bit of that, not as much of that as I used to. And they're like, "Oh, wait, I thought I got rid of this clown, and you're telling me he's on YouTube as well and podcasting." So yeah, every now and then somebody new finds me who may be remembering me from the olden days. So yeah, guys, do us a favor, smash the like button, hit that thumbs up button, and make sure you subscribe to 5 Reasons Sports on YouTube. But smash those like button, guys. It really helps out the channel. The more likes we get, the more people will see this video. The more people see this video, the more people will subscribe to the channel. And it's like trickle down economics, right? If more people watch Donno Daily, more people will watch the Starting Nine and all the other great shows we have on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. So make sure you do that. Make sure you do that for us. Hello to IMAX. I see our guy in the chat here. Hello, hello, hello to Ray Grullon. And yeah, man, be like Ray. Smash that like button. Hello, Austin. Let's go Heat indeed. Hello to Big Dan 305. Bro, let's go Panthers tonight. For as happy as I am about what the Heat are doing, if the Panthers go down 0-2 tonight on home ice, I'm going to be fucking depressed tomorrow, like legitimately depressed. So I don't want to start out my weekend with a Panthers loss tonight. Please, Florida Panthers. So the Miami Heat take care of business again. They have protected home court. The series is going to shift to Philadelphia tomorrow night for game 3. Game 1 was lopsided in favor of Miami. Game 2, even more lopsided for the Heat. It was a 14-point margin of victory in the first game, a 16-point margin of victory in the second. The Heat get it done, 119-103 against Philly. Heat versus Sixers. It is becoming clearer and clearer now the longer this series goes. And I get it. Philadelphia will try and protect their home floor. They're going to try and punch back. We'll see what happens with Joel Embiid. More on that in a second. And by the way, Tony Schwartz is going to join us. That'll be his first time on this show. Tony Schwartz, host of In the Lane on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, is going to join us. And I am so pumped to talk to this dude. So Heat versus 76ers, guys. This is a matchup between a true team versus a squad that is very dependent on one player. Because without Joel Embiid, they have no hope against Miami. Like, no hope whatsoever until and if they can get their superstar back on the floor. That is called over-dependence. Embiid is a superstar. I will give you that. There's no question about it. But the Miami Heat are so deep. I honestly believe this. None of their players are truly and completely irreplaceable because the unit is so strong as a whole. Like, I think just characteristic-wise, maybe the closest thing the Heat have to an irreplaceable player would probably be Bam Adebayo because of his size, athleticism, and versatility. And listen, Bam has some great nights. He's had a couple of them already this series. He has some not so great nights, but he's probably the closest thing to irreplaceable. But Miami, as they've shown it, the Heat are still capable of winning big games without Bam. They can win without Jimmy. I'm not saying you want to make a habit out of being without these guys, but they can do it. They can win without Lowry, as they've been doing now for the past 4 playoff games. They can win without Tyler Herro. The list goes on and on and on. I will take Heat culture over the so-called Philadelphia process any day of the week, man. Victor Oladipo. We have got to talk about what Depot is doing now. And I know that's going to be a big topic when we bring Tony in a couple of minutes. Victor Oladipo had the same number of points last night as the entire Philadelphia 76ers bench. Depot with 19. The Sixers bench scored 19. The Miami Heat bench, because Tyler Herro was incredible as well. The Miami Heat bench outscored Philly's bench 51-19 in this game. And I get it. When they go back to Philly, the bench will probably play better because, role players always play better at home than they do on the road. But depth-wise, it ain't close, man. And there are times, even as a Heat fan, depending on the flow of games, sometimes Miami's bench looks better than their starters. Like, it's crazy. That's how deep this team is. The Heat do not have to, and I'm not comparing the players. I understand Joel Embiid is obviously more important to Philadelphia than Kyle Lowry is to Miami, but let's just compare the situations, okay? The Heat don't have to rush Kyle Lowry back. In fact, the Heat might be thinking, we're not even going to put him back until we lose. Like, if we keep, next series, obviously, if you go up against, you're going to go up against Milwaukee or Boston if you get through Philadelphia. But they don't have to rush Kyle Lowry back because the chain is so strong even without him. They can get it done, as they've shown now, without Kyle Lowry. I don't know what happens as far as Joel Embiid returning in this series. I suspect he will. I don't know if that's necessarily the right decision, but Philadelphia, they no longer have the luxury of making the right decision. I know Joel Embiid, he's going to push to come back, whether he's actually physically ready or not. He's got the finger issue, which he had already. He was playing through it. He's going to need surgery after the season. He's got a broken orbital, and he's got a concussion. I'm not sure if he's cleared the protocol yet, but I know that was expected to happen before Game 3. But they don't have the luxury of giving Joel Embiid any time, right? I mean, even if they want to protect him from himself, it's like, if you don't play him tomorrow, there is no tomorrow, right? Like, if you don't play him tomorrow night, you go down 0-3, you might as well be like Tua Tagovailoa and start scheduling your tee times for the next game day. Like, I don't know. I don't know what you expect to do there. They don't have the luxury of giving Joel Embiid any extra time. And man, on Oladipo, and this is the perfect phrase. It was, I think it was Alex on 5 on the Floor who I heard use this last night. I've used this phrase before for other players on other teams, and I mushed them. So hopefully I don't do that this time. But I think this is appropriate for Victor Oladipo. He is the secret weapon. Like, Victor Oladipo is the secret weapon. Alex Toledo said it. I am co-signing on it. He has figured it out, right? Because in March, when he first came back, regular season, the flow was just off. Everything looked discombobulated with him out there. And, the entire team was butting heads. I have a feeling that trying to force him and Markieff into the rotation probably had something to do with, that little altercation during that timeout against Golden State. But Oladipo has figured out how to play with this team. And more importantly, the team has figured out how to play with Oladipo, including Jimmy Butler. Like, they have figured out how to coexist chemistry-wise on the court, and they figured it out in the playoffs when it matters most. Like, Depot has already had at least 2 exquisite games in this postseason so far. Depot's defense on Harden was awesome. James Harden, though, he's kind of a bum. I mean, I don't know how else you say it at this point. All those 4 a.m. nights at the strip club, nights before, nights after games, the cholesterol, eventually I think it takes a toll, man. It takes a toll. Like, and even James Harden, he put up good numbers and good first half yesterday. Second halves, the guy is on a milk carton. But even when Harden, like the 2022 version of Harden, even when he's scoring he looks physically so terrible doing it. And he's never been a fun player to watch based on, when he gets the ball, quicksand, and, historically always drawing fouls and just getting so he's never been a fun player to watch. But man, I'm telling you, James Harden's physicality has become as washed as that hairline of his. It is just receding, 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 receding. This guy's athleticism, like it's hard to watch him. What do you have? 4 points in the second half? He's shooting. I saw this stat. This is incredible. A combined 2 for 9 in the second halves in this series. And as Brady Hawk pointed out on Twitter, Harden is 2 for 7 in the series when guarded by Victor Oladipo. That's awesome for Depot. But even crazier, Harden is 1 for 7 when guarded by Max Strus. Wow. He's making Max Strus look like Marcus Smart on defense. I mean, good for Strus, and I like Strus's D for sure. And Oladipo, by the way, it wasn't just the defense where he was very good, but 29 points, 6 for 11 shooting. That's a two-way player, 19 points in the game, 6 rebounds to go along with that. He did have 4 turnovers to 1 assist, which isn't great. But you know what? I can be selective with these stats. When you do enough good things, I can overlook the assist to turnover ratio if everything else is as good as it was last night. By the way, I've already seen some people complaining about this on social media, Heat fans complaining about this, including our guy Ethan, who loves to tweet about this every day. And I'm happy he does because it alerts me to what's going on, and then I'll turn the TV on and watch what they're talking about. If you're looking for Miami Heat content, don't bother watching ESPN today. Like if you're like, oh man, what an awesome win last night. Let me see what Stephen A. Smith is saying about Oladipo and Jimmy and Bam, who both played great last night. I know I've talked so much about Depot, but Jimmy and Bam, what 45 points I think they combined for yesterday. They were both very good. But if you're looking for like a positive Miami Heat breakdown, and if you turned on ESPN today, all you got was Harden talk. What happened to Harden? Where is Harden? Why can't Harden carry a team? Why did Harden drop off so easily? I mean, you could feel free to devote like 30 seconds talking about the defense that's being played on Harden because, somebody's got to make him look bad. He does a pretty good job looking bad these days on his own, but still somebody's got to make him look extra bad. So if you're looking for positive Heat reactions, don't bother watching ESPN. I'm not so sure about Fox Sports 1. I haven't watched Undisputed today. I don't usually watch it live, but they post most of their stuff on YouTube. So I'll go back and watch like YouTube segments from Skip and Shannon. I know what you're thinking. Like, Donno, you go out of your way to watch Skip Bayless. I find him to be entertaining. The key is don't take the guy seriously. Like if you're looking like, oh, let me hear what wisdom Skip has to say today, you're wasting your time. But I find the guy entertaining. I'll go back and watch their videos. I haven't watched any of their stuff from today, but I did notice Skip last night. Skip Bayless actually tweeted because he was watching the Heat Sixers game, and he actually on Twitter said that the Heat are the team to beat. It's like, I'll take that. That made me smile when I saw that a hater like Skip is actually paying attention to these games because I feel like half of the analysts don't even watch the Heat games. They're just like, oh, let me look at the box score. Oh, how bad was Harden? How bad was Trae Young? And oh, let me talk about that. I don't think they're actually watching these games. Skip was actually watching the game last night, and he referred to the Heat as the team to beat. James says, I didn't watch this either. Busy day today because I was actually, this is so sad, but I spent like half the day driving up and down US 1 to try to find a Mexican restaurant that wasn't like overly packed so I could eat some nachos and tacos. So I wasted like an extra 45 minutes driving around and then the time I spent eating. But again, man, when you've been on a savage diet like I've been on and you allow yourself a Cinco de Mayo cheat day, if you're going to be a bear, be a grizzly. Like I went all in on that. I went all in on those tacos. I went all in on those nachos. And I spent like half the day driving around to find a place that wasn't like completely overly crowded. But, he says, James said that Cowherd wasn't bad today, but it was all narrative talk. And listen, I was telling somebody this on Twitter. You have to understand this, like, it sucks as a Heat fan. And that's why, actually, the moral of the story is if you're trying to watch ESPN to get Heat talk and you're frustrated, That's why you come to 5 Reasons Sports, because this video that we're doing right now is one of like probably 10 videos that's going to come out today on this channel involving Miami Heat talk. So if you're looking for Miami Heat breakdowns, you want to come to 5 Reasons Sports YouTube. You don't want to go to ESPN because you're just going to find narrative talk on there. But all this narrative talk and all this negativity, that's just their algorithm. Like they know, like ESPN spends so much money on market research and proper way to title the YouTube videos you put out, second by second ratings breakdowns on TV. Like they have the data that, hey, if you talk about LeBron for 6 minutes at 1:05 p.m., then we're going to dominate the ratings during that time. If you talk about Harden falling off a cliff, the ratings are going to spike. So it's just the nature of the biz. It sucks, but if you want Heat talk, you come here. And if you want Heat talk, you can get it for our guest for today. And like you said, man, when we were chatting early on Twitter, Tony, long overdue. I'm so happy to have you on, Donno Daily. How you doing, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing great. The first thing we're going to do, by the way, since you're talking about this diet, is we're going to celebrate you, brother. Congratulations, man.
Thank
As
you,
somebody,
sir.
I was 280 pounds at one point. So
No
somebody who
shit.
has taken that journey too, man.
Wow. I never would have thought.
Congrats.
Like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Congrats to you as well, man. Yeah, I started at at one point I think I was even a few pounds heavier than when I like officially started the diet, but I started at
Right.
247 and this morning I got on the scale at 194 and I'm like, "All right, I can eat some tacos today." Like, it's one of those things, man. But dude, that's I had no idea that about you. So congratulations, man. That's no easy feat cuz you look great these days.
No, I appreciate you, man. That's a lot of work, as you're finding out, like way harder to go down than it is to go up. But
Right.
it's just commitment to keep going at it.
Well, you know what? I hope James Harden is watching because he could probably stand to lose a few before Game 3. But I don't want to start on that because I don't want to be like ESPN and start with that narrative. Why don't we circle back to that? Why don't we start with the positives, Tony? And Tony, by the way, host of In the Lane on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, one of the awesome individuals who covers NBA and Heat basketball here on this channel, and everybody support the work that Tony and all the great folks do. But on Victor Oladipo, a month and a half ago, it just looked like it wasn't ever going to click. And coming into the playoffs, I thought, we're never going to see this guy in the playoff rotation. Now it was necessitated due to injuries, but he's grabbed the bull by the horns and he's looked fantastic. So what do you think the key has been for Oladipo to kind of figure things out?
Victor talks so much about the struggle of the day-to-day and, reprioritizing your place in not just basketball, but society. And you can take that and extrapolate it to what he's going through with his injury. Like, this is a guy that could affect the game on basically every level, going down in the defensive side, then coming up on the offensive side as a facilitator, as a 3-level scorer. I think for Victor, the hardest part is him dealing with the idea that he just isn't game speed ready for certain things. You see him try to thread the needle on some of those passes going towards the rim, and he can't quite get it. And I don't think the speed of the game is there for him right now. But when he singular focus, his only goal is score the basketball, just attack the rim, create rim pressure, and create opportunities for our offense, he always looks amazing. And I think that he's starting to realize that that's his space in the offense right now. And look at the results, man. Great games from Victor all postseason.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And like I was talking about this a little bit earlier, Tony, that the Heat, they just have the luxury, and I don't know the extent of what's going on with Kyle Lowry because the Heat keep everything so close to the vest. But they have the luxury of like not having to rush him back or force him back. Do you have any idea like when we might expect him back?
Every report says he's ready to play, by the way. Like
Mm.
he wants to play. It's all in the team right now. They're obviously protecting the player from himself. Like Kyle feels good to go and the team doesn't want to put that leverage on him. And I don't see any reason to roll him out for game 3. If you've seen the Chris Haynes report that came out, Joel Embiid has a problem looking at his phone. He has terrible light sensitivity from like just looking at text messages. He also has not been fitted for his mask yet. So his reevaluation for the migraine status or from the concussion status is, I think, yesterday or today, and he still needs to be fitted for his mask. I think there's a very small chance he plays in Game 3. And I think there's a very small chance Kyle plays in Game 3 because of it.
Yeah, and I listen to our friends on Five on the Floor, and I've heard Greg Sylvander, and like he's a little bit coy about it because like I know Greg knows things because like he's a reporter, so I feel like he's probably been given some information, but he wants to be like careful with it. So he's like, I've heard him say a couple times, like, well, you know what? I wouldn't be surprised if Embiid doesn't play all series. So it's like on the one hand. I strongly feel, Tony, that Embiid is going to do whatever he can to force his way back because he like let's say he doesn't come back for this series, which would be the playoffs because I don't think they're getting past this series. And the Sixers get beaten in 4 or 5 games, and Embiid never returned. He knows what the narrative's going to be. Like, oh, well, why didn't this guy try to? He's not tough enough. Why didn't he force his way back in? So I feel like Embiid is going to try to force the issue. I mean, maybe his condition might be so bad that like the doctors just won't clear him, but I think he will do whatever he can do to get on the court. Do you feel the same way?
I think he will. There's a level of, that if you want to correct those narratives, like for instance, if they're down 3-0, there's no coming back. Miami can just attack you in too many ways. And let's be honest here. Joel Embiid is not coming back 100% MVP form. He still has the UCL injury he's playing with, and he's dealing with this concussion that's lingering with him for 5 days. So this thing is serious. This is not a mild concussion. If you want to correct those narratives, you have to be able to play basketball, and putting yourself at risk for very little with an orbital fracture, like something close to the brain, is not the smartest move for the player. Forget the Miami Heat thing. Forget the series. Just like as a human, you shouldn't be putting yourself in that situation. I don't know if the team lets him play, man, to be really honest with you. His best chance is Game 3. And if they clear him, then maybe we could talk about a series. But otherwise, I'm not putting him out there.
So let's just say hypothetically he doesn't play Game 3, okay? And Bam has been awesome this series. He's obviously benefited from Embiid not playing. Okay, so if Embiid has to miss another game, like, is there any adjustment Philly can make, or is just Bam just going to keep dominating at will?
No, man, and honestly, it's not like Philly doesn't have real NBA talent. I mean, you're looking at Tobias Harris out there and Tyrese Maxey, and honestly, James Harden has moments where he gets a defender on his back hip and just takes advantage, but there's nothing they can do, especially when their bench is not giving them a single thing, right? So you have the 1-2 punch of Tyler Herro and Victor Oladipo as your second backcourt, and they're putting out Matisse Thybulle and Shake Milton. It's just not quite the same. There's nothing they can do. Every bucket that they get, if James is the kind of guy that's going to break you down and get an open shot for himself, that's hard. If Tobias is going to get like a little baby sky hook crab dribble kind of thing from a long 2, that's a hard shot. If Matisse has to go 100 miles an hour every single play just to get a good look at the basket, these are all things Miami can live with. They're allowing these players to get those shots because they're extremely difficult, and those percentages are low. So I don't see anything they can do. Paul Reed isn't a good enough basketball player to stay on the floor right now. That's their best shot at being versatile. So, I mean, they're going to go into Game 3 and pray that Georges Niang is going to be the most effective corner shooter of all time. They're gonna pray for these things, but I don't see it.
Oh man, what would have been your impressions of, because we talked about Victor, what about Tyler Herro, who was also excellent off of the bench? Your impressions of him this series so far?
Yeah, Tyler is ascending to that level where he is finding ways to be impactful at every section of the game. He doesn't, I think any other year we would have said Tyler needs to score the ball to be effective, but now without Kyle, without a guy to really be a floor general and feed the big man when he needs to be fed, or feel out the pace of the game, speed it up or slow it down, Tyler's filling that role with like absolute supremacy. Like he's just taking it, embodying it. Like last night, his floor game was so impressive. 18 points with the assists, with the rebounds. was a Jimmy Butler stat line. It was really a Jimmy Butler stat line that he went out there and put up. So that kind of control of the offense is the growth that I wanted to see from Tyler, as well as getting to the line, which he still needs to work at. But I mean, he's ascending right now. It's very clear we're not going to be able to hold him out of a starting lineup next year. We're not going to be able to withhold that money from him next year. So Tyler's hitting all the strides that he needs to as a young player to progress to be one of these guys he wants to be in the same conversation with. He's doing a damn good job of getting there.
That's right. I forgot about those comments. He's well on his way for sure. So I want to put you on the spot here. How long is this series going to go? What's your prediction for how this ends?
Nah, this shit is done in 4, man. This is
yes. And I'm glad you said it, not me, because if I said it, it would end up going 7 because I'm bad luck. So I'll let Tony say it.
I've heard that there is a curse around you sometimes.
Yeah, man, it's bad. It's really bad. Although certain teams are affected by it more than others because the Heat are so good. I haven't been able to do that much damage. I have definitely, unfortunately, damaged the Florida Panthers. If they go down 0-2 tonight, you know who to blame. I guess I've probably damaged Inter Miami. They've only won like 3 games so far this season. I think
they damaged themselves, honestly. I don't know if that's as much you as the team itself.
Yeah, I don't know if I could take credit for that one. I'm sure I damaged the Dolphins at some point last season. And actually, I want to put you on the spot here on another thing. Let me get your opinion. Even though you cover the NBA, but you're a well-rounded sports fan. Now I have the reputation, which is completely unfair reputation of being a Tua hater. I'm not a Tua hater. I'm a Tua skeptic. Like that's all. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. I've been burned. I've been a Dolphin. I'm 37 years old. I've been a Dolphin fan all my life. I've been burned, like 20, 21 times since Dan Marino. Like I've been burned way too long. You have to really show me some kind of sustained success before I'm going to completely hop on board. So within the last couple of days, this whole golfing on game day story has come out. And like, to be completely honest, because on Twitter, I troll sometimes. On the shows, I try to keep it real because there's actually context here on like Twitter. Okay, so the guy allegedly hit 18 holes on a game day. It doesn't really change my opinion of him. Like, it's not a catastrophe. I do think the optics are bad, though. Like, I do think the optics of you're an NFL quarterback, even if he wasn't expecting to be the starter that day, I just think like you got to know better that if you go out and hit a round of golf on a game day, and if somebody finds out of it, you're going to look bad. Like that's all. Like, know your environment. It's going to look bad. And I find it to be a little bit crazy how many people are coming out like the real Tuanon Kool-Aid drinkers that are all like, no, this is awesome. It's so great that he was golfing. He was sticking it to flow. And it's like, and here's where I draw the line, Tony, because I know how Dolphin fans are. If this same story came out about Mac Jones or Justin Herbert, that they hit 18 holes on a game day, the Dolphin fans would be relentless. They'd be trolling. They'd be criticizing. So I try not to be a hypocrite, but like, can you agree with me? And if you disagree, that's fine, because a lot of people do that. Hitting around a golf on game day is not the best look.
Alex, don't you know nuance is dead? Nuance is dead, man. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Come on, man. You got to get the interactions. Look, here's the reality, right? And you're a busy guy, so you'll understand this like I understand this. Practice and film sessions and tape study and post-workout and pre-workout and recovery and rehab, those things take up a lot of your time. When you have a free schedule in your time, this is funny, by the way. People always say I look like Tyler. When you have a free slot in your day and you have a free slot in your day, you usually want to occupy it with something that isn't hassle, like that is a stress reliever. So I could see him putting a tee time in a slot where he knows he's not going to get bothered. Game day is like, that's what you're focused on. Game day is the only focus. So I think you got to show up for. At the same time, yeah, not a great look. Look, Jameis Winston, I totally understand Jameis Winston taking those crab legs. Somebody wrapped them up, gave them to him for free. I would have took them a million times out of a million times. But you're an NCAA athlete. Maybe think about it.
And then he went back for butter. Like, he forgot the butter and he went back and they got him on the can.
It's not the best look.
Oh, no, you're totally right about that. By the way, do you get this a lot? Because yesterday was Star Wars Day. Your last name is Schwartz. Do you get a lot? May the Schwartz be with you. The old Spaceballs line. Have you gotten that a lot?
My entire life, brother. My entire life. I make the joke myself preemptively just to get ahead of it now.
To disarm. Yeah, that's smart. Yeah, the one that I used to get, which is I don't think it's as catchy as May the Schwartz be with you, but it's always like, don't know nothing, don't know anything. I used to always get that. And eventually it's like, and anytime somebody makes the joke, they feel like, oh, that's the first time he's ever heard that. Like I'll see like the smirk on their face, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, since I was 6, I've heard that. Maybe it's funny to you, and I'm not offended by it, but it's like I've heard it 1,000 times. It's just not funny to me anymore. But it's one of the. I'm sure it's the same with you and the Schwartz.
Yeah, you know what else I get too? Because I live or I work in the villages, so I see a lot of Italians.
Nice.
They love to give me Tony. You know, when I got here from Ellis Island, they called me that because I'm getting shipped to New York. So Tony. And they think that is the most hilarious thing of all time. Like they'll cackle for 5 minutes after telling me this joke. And I'm like, yeah, gotcha. Understood.
Oh my God. That is, and you know, I don't think I've even heard that before. That's funny. Like I'm thinking so see, since I'm hearing it for the first time, it's funny to me.
It's funny to you. Yeah. Yeah, now for the 1,000th time, I'm tired of hearing it, honestly.
Oh, totally. Well, listen, why don't you let the people know, sir, where they can find all your work, where they can find In the Lane. People who are watching this, if you're listening to the audio, you can't see this, but those watching, you see the Twitter handle, Tony Schwartz NBA. Let the people know where else they can find you, sir.
Yeah, so you're going to mostly find me on Twitter, doing Twitter Spaces right now. Every halftime of every Miami Heat game, I'm there. Me, Sean, Marco, we're breaking down the first half of the game, giving you adjustments for the second half, and also giving you a space to talk, man. The community is super important. Like, get up on stage, bring it. Like, let's hear what you thought about the game. You can also find me on your podcast feeds, wherever you find podcasts. I do an introspective podcast. I have interviews with Mike Prada, David Sampson of the Marlins fame, and conversations with humans. And we talk about human elements and things that are complicated in life, the nuanced stuff that nobody ever wants to talk about anymore. So you can find my podcast wherever you find podcasts, In the Lane. And then, like I said, everything is Tony Schwartz NBA. So you can find me on Twitter, Instagram, everything at Tony Schwartz NBA.
I love it. Well, listen, man, I'm glad we could finally connect. And the problem with connecting with me is that now I'm just going to keep hounding you. Like you're just going to have to start ignoring me, like some people in the network do, because I will be on you, man. I enjoyed the conversation.
Yeah, I definitely probably screwed up. Now, whatever free time I have is definitely gone because I got to do good shows. Listen, if you catch me on lunch like this, live from the Hyundai, like I'm good. I'll pop in, no issues.
Awesome. Well, enjoy the rest of your day, man, and enjoy Game 3 and beyond. I love it. So, how about that from Tony? Heat and 4. I like that. I like that confidence a lot. Yeah, Roger. It's totally it's mind numbing. Sad how the media only wants to talk about James Harden's shortcomings. It's just it is what it is. That's why you got to come to places like this, to 5reasonsports.com, because here's the thing. Like when you're talking about doing these national shows, it's an algorithm, right? It's like, what storyline can we bring up that's going to appeal to the largest number of people so that our live TV coverage, which in live TV, it's dying a very slow death, right? When it comes to like actual cable satellite, it's dying a slow death. We consume everything in 5 to 10 minute clips now. Is right, a lot what we do. Like I can't tell you, man, how much easier it makes my life as a content creator and a sports host. Instead of having to like every day sit and watch, like in the old days, I would sit and watch like 4 hours of Sports Center and like, try to jot some things down. Like I can go to YouTube now and I can basically get all of the first take segments and the PTI segments and first things first, speak for yourself. I can undisputed. I can get all that stuff, all the clips in like 3-5 minutes at a time. And I could digest it so much faster. Right. But unfortunately, that tends to force these hosts, if they want to get clicks and they want to get ratings, they've got to feed the algorithm. Now, you guys, me, Tony, Brady Hawk, Ethan Skolnick, Royal A. Shepard, Ricky J. Mark, we all want to talk about what the Heat did last night, right? We want to talk about Bam's dominance. Great game from Jimmy. Unbelievable games off the bench from Tyler and Victor. That moves the needle for us. It doesn't move the needle, or at least ESPN doesn't think it moves the needle for a national audience. So they just beat the same freaking topic into the ground, and that is, what's wrong with James Harden? What's wrong with this guy? And that's all you're going to get, because unfortunately, it works for them. It works. That's what's generating clicks and all that stuff. So listen, you're not going to get it from this network, because we cover the Heat. We cover the Heat in depth. You got people like Tony, like Brady Hawk, like Ricky J. Mark, who are frequent guests on the show, who can really go inside basketball and inside the Miami Heat. And of course, people like Ethan and Greg Sylvander and Alex Toledo, who do Five on the Floor. Ethan just joined us. It was yesterday, I think Ethan joined us. We had an awesome conversation and an awesome breakdown. And that's the kind of stuff you're going to get here on 5 Reasons. You're not going to get it on the national media, because all the national media wants to talk about is James Harden's shortcomings. Never mind like the team that's forcing these shortcomings. Let's just talk about what he's doing wrong. I mean, they're probably still finding ways to talk about the Nets and Lakers, right? It's crazy. Brooklyn Rob says, Sunday sauce with meatball sausage and briachole and is gravy, period. Everything else is sauce. Listen, man, it's only a Jersey thing to call it gravy. You go back to the old country, and they're not calling it great. In fact, you don't even get meatballs on top of the spaghetti over in the old country. That's like a Jersey thing, man. David says, how many times has Donno said the name Harden today? I guess you could argue I'm basically doing what ESPN does, but in reverse. Like, instead of talking about what Harden's not doing, I'm talking a little bit more about what the Heat are doing to him. But I guess the common denominator is there. We just bring up Harden. Beef bone marrow turns every sauce into a gravy, baby. Ooh. I could go for some of that Sunday gravy, Brooklyn Rob. I could. How about this from Tony, who I know has an Italian heritage as well, as does Brooklyn Rob, and probably a few more people in the chat. He says, I personally am not too tribal. I'll call it both sauce or gravy. Every culture has slang, but Italians get too catty about traditions. That is true, man. If you're on because I know Tony is a big part of like Italian soccer Twitter, like I am, Calcio Twitter. And if you make like any sort of like a cultural faux pas, like you misidentify something Italian, they are on your ass. Like I have seen people get slaughtered over misrepresenting an Italian tradition or an Italian food, like mercilessly slaughtered. All right, guys, I want to remind you, because we talk a lot about the NBA playoffs, and depending on what happens tonight, we're going to talk some Stanley Cup playoffs. I had so what did they play? They played game 1, I guess on Tuesday, right? The Panthers and the Capitals. And I had really thought the Panthers were going to win. And we were going to devote like a good chunk of time on the show to talking about what they did. And they didn't perform well. They lost the game. And I was just so disappointed. If they go down 0-2 tonight, I don't know how much time we're going to devote to it tomorrow, because quite frankly, I'm going to feel like I am the problem. I'm going to feel like I am the problem. Whereas the Heat, I could talk about the Heat happily, because they've only lost 1 game in the postseason so far. Heat in 5, baby. If you listen to Tony Schwartz, could be Heat in 4 in this series. But guys, all this talk about the playoffs, you realize there is action to be had here. America's favorite sports book, BetUS.com. Full service online sportsbook, fully available in Florida. You can get all the features in Florida, my friends. Log on to betus.com. Sign up today. Use our code 5RSN125. When you make your deposit, type in our code 5RSN125, and they're going to give you a 125% sign up bonus. They're going to more than double your deposit. You deposit $100, they give you $125 in free play money on top of your deposit. And guys, it's like having Las Vegas in your pocket on your smartphone. You can do live betting. You can bet during the games. Bet on the spreads, money lines, player props, parlays before the games start. They even have a full casino right there on the website. You can play blackjack for real money at betus.com. I do it all the time. You can bet as little as $1, in fact, on a hand of blackjack, which is cool because you're not like, a lot of times you go out to the casino, like the physical casino. It's like, oh, $25 tables today, huh? You're going to blow your whole wad in like 5 hands if you have a really nasty dealer. $1 minimum. You can bet more if you're a high roller, okay? But $1 minimum blackjack at betus.com. It's a lot of fun, man. I'm on there frequently. So check it out, whether you're betting on the basketball playoffs, the hockey playoffs, baseball, international soccer. It's been a crazy day of Champions League games the last couple of days. You can find it all, including UFC 274 this weekend, UFC pay-per-view fights as well, my friends. BetUS.com. Sign up with our code 5RSN125. You bet, you win, you get paid. BetUS.com. And we have an official fantasy sports provider here on the 5 Reasons Sports Network, and that is Prize Picks. Guys, Prize Picks, it combines my love for parlays and daily fantasy. You simply select 2, 3, or 4 players. You can go cross league and even cross sport. Like if you want to select 2 basketball players and 2 hockey players, you can put them in the same selection and you can win up to 10 times your money just by predicting overs and unders. It's a lot of fun. If you want to sign up at Prize Picks, I know a lot of people have been doing this. A lot of the viewers and listeners at the 5 Reasons Sports Network. Guys, make sure you sign up with our code because then we get credit for it and you get a sweet bonus. They're going to match your first deposit up to $100 when you use our code 5, F-I-V-E. Prize Picks truly is daily fantasy simplified. All right, I want to throw some shout outs before we wrap it up for today. Let's see. Tony says if they go down 0-2, they deserve to be ripped. They fold like a lawn chair in the playoffs. He's talking about the Panthers, obviously. Very small sample size, but it's the historical truth about the Panthers. Yeah, and it's unfortunate that it's a very small sample size because they don't get to the playoffs a whole lot historically. And yeah, they haven't been past the first round since 96, I think, the year that they had the run. Evil Musher. David. Thank you, David, for tuning in. Thank you, Big Dan 305. I love the Italian flags. Thank you, Brooklyn Rob, for tuning in, even though he just thinks every time I talk about one of our teams, I'm cursing them. You know what I should do? I should start a show. Well, you know what? I'll tell you why this is a stupid idea. But I was going to say, since I seem to give everybody bad luck, I should start a show where I only talk about the New York sports teams, but they all suck anyway. So they don't need my help to mush them. Because I pretty much all the sports teams that come out of New York, I despise. So, if I'm bad luck, I should talk about the New York teams. But, for the most part, they're terrible anyway. So I shouldn't even waste my time. I should like start a Patriots podcast. Give them some bad luck. And be Boston. Teams from Boston seem to win everything these days. And Tampa Bay. I should start a Tampa Bay Boston podcast, and they'll never win anything again for the life of them. Shake Money, hello. Thank you so much for tuning in. Take a little trip with me. Thank you so much. Every sauce in a gravy with that bone marrow. Tony 2 times. I think I may have shouted him out already. Roger Davis. Yeah, he brought up the whole narrative thing. Hey, yeah, if you want a little bit of a break from the Harden talk, even though I have talked a lot about him today, I'm sorry, but if you want a little break, 5 Reasons Sports is the place for you. Frank, thank you so much for tuning in. Heat in fire? Like, is that supposed to mean Heat in 5, or just like the Heat will literally burn the opposition? Like they will scorch them? I can go for that. Never seen Tony Schwartz and Tyler Herro in the same room. Neither have I, actually. I'll be completely honest with you. Doug E. Fresh, thank you so much. I did not know this. I'm just going to assume this is true, because why wouldn't it be? Skip Bayless's little brother is actually one of the best Mexican cuisine chefs in the world. Rick Bayless. Wow. What is his specialty? He's probably really busy today on Cinco. Like he's probably cooking up a storm on Cinco de Mayo. James, thank you so much for listening. And apparently I got to go back and, well, you know what? I did see a Cowherd clip yesterday that I really enjoyed. Colin Cowherd was very complimentary of the University of Miami and of John Ruiz, the CEO of Life Wallet, because something I've been saying for weeks, but people outside of Miami tend to not want to listen to me because everyone's like, "Oh, Miami is bad. NIL. Oh, they're cheating. What they're just buying players and all this." Like, Colin Cowherd is 100% right. Um, John Ruiz, Life Wallet, Cigar Racing, they're actually doing it the right way because they are so compliant. They are so organized and so meticulous in following the laws and the few guidelines that are out there. And they're actually implementing it the right way with legitimate businesses. Like Life Wallet has been granted SEC approval and not football conference SEC. We're talking Securities and Exchange Commission. Like, these are legit. This is not just like boosters, starting GoFundMe's to pay players. Like, these are legitimate businesses. All the paperwork is there and proper. And like I've been saying for weeks, Colin Cowherd was very complimentary and saying, you know what? The Ruiz family might actually be setting the blueprint for how you should do NIL, right? But nobody wants to hear that. Like, people just want to be outraged. People just want to be like, "Oh, Miami spending money, Miami bad, money bad, NIL bad, oh, amateurism." They don't seem to care that, like, these coaches have been making millions upon millions of dollars, and the coaches can just up and leave and go wherever they want to, whenever they want to. Like, oh, people hate the transfer portal. Oh, I don't want these players to have these players who, for years were unpaid. And I don't want them to be able to decide they want to play somewhere else. But it's okay if these coaches that are making, tens of millions of dollars, if they just up and leave whenever they want to. Like, so much hypocrisy in that. So, yeah, I mean, to compliment Cowherd, I thought Cowherd had a great take on Miami football NIL when a lot of people in the national media don't want to actually study it and break it down the right way. Young McCrizzle, thank you so much. He hasn't been the same since the hamstring injury. I'm always trolling Big Dan 305. Actually, not when I'm here, I'm not trolling. On Twitter, I do troll sometimes. When I'm in here, I don't usually troll because there's just, when we're just talking, like I'm actually talking, there's context here. It's different from Twitter. Austin, thank you so much. Oladipo, Home Depot, Office Depot. I love all the depots. Victor Oladipo, I love him. Indeed, thank you so much. And I think that might be it. If I missed anybody in the live chat, I apologize. Oh, here we go. We got the Sixers fan in here. You had the balls to show up. That's impressive. 0-2 process not being trusted right now, tail between your legs. You still had the stones to show up in here. I give Anthony some credit that, the Sixers are, they're not out of it, of course, obviously. They can shift the series in their favor potentially in Philly, but 0-2 is not a good spot to be in, and you still had the balls to show up here and talk your smack. So I guess I respect that. All right, that'll do it for us. Again, make sure you guys support Prize Picks, support betus.com, and we will talk to you again tomorrow. So tomorrow, Big John Stud is going to join us. I think Brady Hawk is going to join us because Brady did mention to me, and I told Brady at the start of the week, because I had him on Monday, I think, and I told Brady, I'm like, hey, Brady, this is a 2-day week, Brady week, right? When you got Heat Sixers, I got to get you on twice this week, and I think he did tell me that Friday could work for him. So the same way I told Tony I'm going to bother him, I'm going to be bothering Brady Hawk as well. And I think he is going to, I bothered him enough already that he is going to join us again tomorrow. And Big John Stud is going to join us. We will talk to you guys then, 2:00 tomorrow on another episode of Donno Daily on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. See ya.